Ted Bundy, one of the most infamous names in all of criminal history. His name alone evokes images of dread and fear. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. As one of America's most notorious serial killers, Bundy terrified the nation with his gruesome crimes throughout the 1970s. But what was it about this man that made him so terrifying? Born Theodore Robert Bundy on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont, Bundy appeared to be your typical charming young man. Growing up in a middle-class family, he seemed to have a bright future ahead of him. He was even described as an exemplary boy by his teachers. However, beneath this seemingly perfect exterior lurked a darkness that would shock the world. One of the factors that contributed to Bundy's dark psyche was his unusual childhood. He was born out of wedlock, and his biological father abandoned both his mother and him, leaving them to fend for themselves. This abandonment issues would later resurface in his relationships with women. Despite these challenges, Bundy was raised by his grandparents, who doted on him. This created a complex dynamic in his life, where he received all the love and attention he desired, while simultaneously craving the affection of other women. It was also thought that his grandfather's strict disciplinary approach may have had an adverse effect on the young boy, contributing to his sadistic tendencies. By the time Bundy reached high school, he was already displaying signs of the manipulative behavior that would become his trademark. He was often described as charming and charismatic, traits he frequently used to manipulate those around him. In one disturbing incident, Bundy broke into the home of a young girl he had been watching and attacked her with a flashlight. Despite these alarming behaviors, he managed to graduate from high school and later enrolled at the University of Washington, where he studied psychology, a field that would later become ironically tied to his dark legacy. During his college years, he joined the debate team, further honing his skills of manipulation and persuasion. He also began experimenting with alcohol, which would become a regular part of his life. By age 21, he had developed a serious drinking problem. Bundy was even arrested for stealing bottles of beer from a grocery store. After college, Bundy worked for several political campaigns, including that of U.S. Senator Henry Jackson. These jobs allowed him to travel around the country and meet new people, but they also exposed him to more alcohol, which only exacerbated his personal problems. In 1961, at the age of 14, Bundy married a woman named Carolyn Boone. The couple eventually divorced in 1969. Although their marriage was not a happy one, Bundy still felt a sense of loss when it ended. This is because by then, his obsession with having a partner by his side had turned into something unhealthy. He craved companionship, but it was the kind that was based on control and dominance rather than mutual respect and love. And it was during this time that his dark side truly began to emerge. His first confirmed murder took place in 1974. Bundy was known for using deceptive tactics to lure his victims, often pretending to be injured or carrying books and a briefcase to appear harmless. Once he gained their trust and drew them close, he would suddenly attack, delivering a brutal blow that left his victims defenseless. After making sure his victim was dead, Bundy would sometimes commit disturbing acts with the body. While investigators struggled to understand and connect the shocking crimes, Bundy continued his relentless killing spree. In February 1975, ski instructors Patty Brooks and her friend became Bundy's next victims. Their disappearance sparked a massive search effort as the entire community was deeply affected by their loss. This case gained national attention, turning Bundy into a wanted man. To evade capture, he moved from state to state, continuing his reign of terror. On April 1975, he took the lives of roommates Susan Elaine Rancourt and Georgia Wixman. However, his luck would eventually run out. On August 16, 1975, he was spotted driving the VW Beetle that had been linked to several of the murders. This led to a high-speed chase with the police, culminating in his arrest. But despite the overwhelming evidence against him, Bundy managed to avoid conviction in his first trial. His defense attorney argued that the prosecution's case was built on circumstantial evidence and that there were reasonable doubts about Bundy's guilt. This led to a hung jury, allowing Bundy to walk free once again. By the late 1970s, Ted Bundy was no longer just a shadow lurking in the dark. His name was now splashed across newspapers and whispered about on every street corner. The growing media spotlight made it harder for him to move unnoticed, yet his hunger for control and violence did not fade. In 1977, despite the mounting pressure and the nation's eyes fixed on him, Bundy is believed to have struck again. This time in Colorado, taking the life of a young woman named Denise Lynn Bowering. Bundy's second trial began in January 1978. Unlike his first trial, this one did not end in a hung jury. Bundy was convicted of 4 counts of murder and sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences. This time, the justice system had finally caught up with him. Despite his conviction, Bundy was far from finished. He orchestrated 2 daring prison escapes. The first took place in June 1977. Using a hacksaw, he broke through the bars of his cell and escaped. Bundy managed to evade authorities for almost 6 months before being recaptured. Bundy's second escape, in December 1979, was nothing short of astonishing. Inside his cell, he secretly fashioned a rope ladder from torn bedsheets, and in the dead of night, he climbed over to razor-sharp fences to claim his freedom. Once again, Bundy vanished into the shadows, slipping past authorities and roaming across the country. For nearly a year, he lived like a ghost, always one step ahead, always just out of reach. But on February 15, 1980, he was finally caught after a nationwide manhunt. These daring prison breaks only added to the notoriety of the man dubbed America's most wanted serial killer. Each escape showcased his cunning and determination, keeping the public on edge. Bundy's third and final trial was held in 1980, this time in Florida. He represented himself in court, a decision that many believed would lead to his downfall. Bundy, now more desperate than ever, tried to prove his innocence. He cross-examined witnesses and presented alibis, but none of it was enough to convince the jury. The evidence against him was too strong, and on October 1980, he was found guilty of 3 counts of murder. He was also convicted of the 2 prison escapes. On February 9, 1982, Ted Bundy was sentenced to the electric chair for his crimes. Behind prison walls, Bundy's personality was as unsettling as ever, a strange blend of charm, charisma, and a chilling coldness that never truly left him. Even while awaiting execution, he managed to attract attention, exchanging letters with women who became his pen pals and welcoming visitors who were strangely drawn to him. Among them was Elizabeth Klepfer, a woman who had once been his girlfriend back in the 1960s. In her meetings and accounts, she revealed disturbing glimpses into Bundy's twisted mind, exposing just how manipulative and dangerous he truly was. According to Elizabeth Klepfer, Bundy was a master of deception, a pathological liar whose charm and good looks allowed him to bend people to his will. But beneath that charismatic exterior lurked a dark obsession, a relentless craving for power and control. Every interaction, every relationship, seemed to serve his need to dominate and manipulate, revealing the true depths of his twisted mind. Bundy was fueled by a chilling desire for complete control over others, especially women. This obsession with dominance was at the heart of his crimes. He meticulously chose his victims, often targeting young women who resembled his ex-wife, Carolyn Boone, transforming his personal fixations into a horrifying and deadly pattern. He wanted his victims to be similar to Carol Ann, not just in appearance, but also in terms of personality. He liked women who were submissive and who he could manipulate into doing what he wanted. In one instance, Bundy asked Klepfer to help him kidnap a woman from a shopping mall. When Klepfer refused, Bundy went ahead with the plan on his own, showing how far he was willing to go to satisfy his urges. Bundy's behavior in prison also gave clues into his psyche. He was known for being polite and respectful to prison staff, a stark contrast to the heinous crimes he had committed. This behavior showed a level of sophistication and self-awareness that was disturbing considering his actions outside the prison walls. Ted Bundy died in the electric chair at Florida State Prison on January 24, 1989. In the weeks leading up to his execution, Bundy reportedly ate a last meal of a steak, eggs, and a whole loaf of bread, betraying no fear or remorse. As the electric chair was prepared, Bundy made a final statement. "I want you to send my love to my family and friends," Bundy reportedly said. "I feel like I'm sailing with the Rock. I've lived my life fully and achieved everything I ever wanted. I have no regrets. The potential for knowledge is limitless, and I refuse to be limited any longer." Bundy was strapped into the electric chair, the first shocks coursing through his body. At first, he flinched, a brief flicker of resistance, but then a calm settled over him. After the third and final shock, his head jerked violently before finally slumping forward, marking the end of one of America's most infamous criminal lives. His eyes stared blankly ahead. A pronounced bulge appeared at the base of his neck. He was pronounced dead at 7:16 a.m. As news of Bundy's execution spread, a collective sigh of relief swept across the nation. Justice had finally been served, yet the shadows of fear and horror he left behind refused to fade. The chilling details of his crimes, combined with the eerie calm he maintained even in the face of death, ensured that Ted Bundy's name would remain forever etched in infamy. The life and crimes of Ted Bundy remain a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human psyche. Ted Bundy's charisma and charm were his deadliest weapons, drawing unsuspecting victims into his web with ease. Behind that charming exterior lay a calculated and methodical predator whose approach to his crimes was as terrifying as it was chilling. When news of Bundy's execution finally spread, the nation breathed a collective sigh of relief. Justice had been served, yet the shadows of fear and horror he left behind refused to fade. The haunting details of his murders, coupled with the eerie calm he maintained even in the face of death, ensured that Ted Bundy's name would remain forever etched in infamy. Even today, the thought of someone so seemingly normal being capable of such heinous acts sends shivers down the spine. As we look back on the life of this notorious serial killer, it's important to remember the victims who lost their lives at his hands. These were real people with families and friends who missed them dearly. Bundy's crimes not only shocked the nation, but also raised questions about the nature of evil and the depths of human depravity. His ability to evade authorities for so long highlighted the limitations of even the most advanced law enforcement techniques of his time. And though Ted Bundy is no longer among the living, his story continues to fascinate and terrify us. The details of his crimes and his execution are seared into our collective memory, ensuring that the name Ted Bundy will never be forgotten. We hope you found this video insightful. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching.